You guys, I had the craziest experience this weekend that involved me getting stuck in the mountains in the snow, and how it was a teachable moment that God used to make me realize that I need to think a little bit more and start practicing faith over fear. And I feel like faith over fear is like this cliche little cute thing that people say, and it might be maybe overused, but it was one of those things where you hear it or you think it probably came through the Spirit at just the right moment to get me to realize that God was calling me into choosing to believe in Him to provide a solution and a way out of what seemed to be an impossible situation, and honestly show me His goodness and His level of provision and just the level of how much He cares about things that when you look back on, you're like, wow, God really showed up for me. And so I'll tell you what happened. So honestly, it shouldn't have gone down like this, but that's how a lot of things happen, right? Things that shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it started out, my husband and I, we were like just having a coffee on Saturday morning, and this is something that we just started to do recently, is these mornings together, and we were like just chatting. We saw somebody pull out of the neighborhood with a snowboard strapped to the top of their car, and we were like, oh, they're probably going to Dodge Ridge, one of the ski resorts that's close by, not like super close, but within a couple hours. And we're like, oh, this is probably one of the last opportunities he'll get. Like, we were just like joking around about it. We sit down, have our coffee. I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about the possibility of going to Mammoth, the biggest ski resort in the state of California. Now, let me tell you a little something. I have been wanting to go to Mammoth for probably about 5 years at this point, 6 years, because I found out, you find out about things once you move to a region, and I moved here in 2019. So I'm in Southern California at the time of figuring it out, and the group of friends that I had that we would go and do stuff like that together, we never had the opportunity to get out to Mammoth. It's a 6-hour drive, and that's kind of prohibitive when it comes to vehicles and schedules and spending money. So you kind of have to have time, money, and you have to have the right car, the right setup with the chains and the gear and all that stuff. So, and then of course the ticket is like $200+, and you have to try to make sure that you have lodging and everything. Lots of ducks need to be put in a row. It's not as simple as just going. However, for some reason, Saturday morning, he and I were talking, and we don't have kids yet. We're in this time where it's just us. We got our dual income, and sure, we have aspirations to meet a lot of financial goals right now. So sometimes these conversations, they don't really go anywhere. We're like, okay, well, we've had these conversations before, and then he goes, well, what if we go today? Like, the conditions seem like really good, and like, what if we go up there and like, find a place to stay tonight, and then we head over there in the morning and we go. And I go, I'd be down. I said, I'll go. And then all of a sudden he is super serious about it and tells me to start looking for a place for us to stay. He said, pick a place that you like. And I go, okay. So I'm like, all right, let me look for this place. I found a cute spot, a spot that was pretty affordable with heated floors in the bathroom, which was actually pretty nice. I want a heated floor in my own bathroom now. Thank you very much. So we booked that place, and we, cleaned up the house. We had some stuff we had to get done, so we just kind of quickly did that. Then we packed up, got some groceries, and then headed out. Everything, all the weather is wonderful. It's beautiful, impeccable weather. We're like, we look at the temperature in Mammoth, forgetting to check tomorrow's weather, which is so silly. Who does that? But during this whole process, I kept saying, like, who are we? Like, just spontaneously going to do this. And like, it's not a cheap trip. It's actually, we had to put a lot into it, but we had been wanting to do this for years, so I think it was really worth it. And honestly, I'm telling this story and I'm like laughing and smiling because I'm thinking like to myself how my mind was wrapping its head around how amazing everything was going to be. And let me tell you, it was, but I haven't gotten to the main problem yet that we encountered. So we start driving and we stop, we get in our hotel, we wake up early the next morning and we're like, okay, let's get on the road and go. And we drive to a certain point and then we realized, oh my gosh, we don't have chains for this car. So this is my car and I had chains for my old car, but then I forgot to get chains for this car. And my heart sank and I was like, the chances are low that we're gonna find chains at all for this car, like so late notice. Like this is not something you want to do like last minute. So I was like, oh my gosh. And this type of car that I have, I feel like you have to get the chains from the company that you bought the car from. So it's like, I don't know, I was like praying, I was like, God, like let us find chains that are appropriate for the vehicle and you know, just help us work this out, because we have these non-refundable tickets to go to this snowboard place that we've been wanting to go. And I was just like, God, I feel like this is happening, everything is happening. And so this was the first opportunity he gave me to not get freaked out, to not give in to being afraid and just like full of anxiety. This is the first opportunity he gave me to do that. So my husband, he's naturally good at seeing things the glass half full. I don't know if it's because he's trying to help me feel better when I feel anxious here and there, but I tend to, I don't know, I think it's the season of life I'm in as well, where there are seasons where you get kind of put through some testing, where God speaks something over your life and you are walking into that season, but God has to test you and help build you up and strengthen you to be able to maintain blessings that he's spoken over you. So it's my belief that I'm in that place where God is strengthening me, he's teaching me, he's growing me up to be able to like handle more, be able to help articulate things a little bit better, and to write more books and help more people and just teach people in the way that he would have me teach them. So he's growing me up. And it's been a hard walk this last half year. My husband is helping me. And he is, you know, he goes, you know, he talks to me. And lately I've been really pushing myself to start seeing things more positively and not defaulting to fear and like just a freaking out. Because when things are kind of challenging for a long time, it's not like I was not like an anxious person like every season of my life. Sometimes things just kind of are out of your control and you just start to like feel worried about the future because things have been hard and you just kind of cannot take another hit. You feel like emotionally, mentally, your resilience is down. So I'm building my resilience back up. I'm still in that place where I'm like scanning the horizon and trying to remember all the good things God has done so I can recall that when I'm in these moments. So he showed me that, you know, it's gonna be okay. We were able to secure some chains at this gas station and that was just like so incredible. I was so grateful because the people, they were like looking over all the measurements and helping us pick the right chains, and it was just a blessing. A lady that was in a similar situation came in behind us and was like, oh, I'm in the same situation. My granddaughter, she begged me to stay yesterday and now I'm regretting it. And she was talking about how her granddaughter was crying when she was trying to leave, even though like a storm was gonna come. So I hope she got home safely. But we definitely were like so grateful that we got those chains. And then we drove on to Mammoth and we didn't even need to put them on, but you need to have them in your car, otherwise they can ticket you and you can get a ticket that's more expensive than the actual chains cost. So then you have to spend the money for the chains and pay the ticket as well. So it's just not worth it. You just, if you want to go to the mountains, you have to be prepared. And you know, I agree because it's expensive for them to use resources to pull people out of the snow and make sure that people don't die in the cold. And you know, while they're waiting, it's really not like the city where you can just call 911 and someone's there like within minutes. It's not like that. So we were like, okay, perfect. So we get on the road, a little bit slick, not bad. We arrive to our destination, top off the car, and then we hop on the shuttle to Mammoth. And it was so great. We got there and the lady that gave us our lift tickets is like, yeah, it's a little bit windy, the top gondola is closed, but we think it's gonna open again. It's not gonna be as windy soon. And we hop on that first chairlift, and you guys, I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life, but I felt like a sail in the wind. Having that snowboard on my feet, I felt like we were just blowing, like there was so much wind resistance that I just kind of got a little bit freaked out, and I was like, I hope it's not like this on the mountain going downhill, but it's like you're up in the air when you're on the chairlift. So I was kind of laughing because the way that the lady was so optimistic about how the conditions were going to be, I was like, this is so strange. Like, this already seems like a condition you should close the chairlift in, but I mean, I trusted them. They do this every single day, year in and year out, so I wasn't about to lose my head over it. But we had a good day snowboarding. It's gigantic. We probably only saw about a third of it, a little bit icy at the tops, and I was pleased to report I didn't have any like major wipeouts. I've been snowboarding for probably like, I don't know, 20 years, a little bit over 20 years by now. Started in my teenage years, and I try to go every year, and it was just so exciting to be on the mountain, be on the biggest resort place that I've been wanting to go for years, just to check it out, and to be there was just such a great time. And we ended up leaving a little bit earlier than we thought, just because the conditions were so windy and there was a lot of snow blowing in our faces. All our gear was like soaking wet from just breathing and like the snow hitting us. And so we were like, okay, well, maybe we should just call it a day before we're so wiped out that we can't even move. Because that's the thing too. We're like, we don't want to like not be able to move at the end of all this. So we get in our car and we go, and we choose the way that the GPS recommends. Unfortunately, there was an accident on the road ahead of us, and it made this gigantic traffic jam, and we were in stopped traffic in this gigantic line. And it was one of those situations where you're not even sure like what's happening. You can't really tell what's going on because nobody can see that far ahead. The line is like so backed up that you're like, I guess the only thing to do is wait. We had already driven like 2 hours in the direction that we decided to go. So our options were to like wait in that line or turn around and take the way that we had initially tried, which was longer at the beginning. So it was going to be even longer. So we're like, oh, like, what should we do, God? And we like waited an hour and a half in this line, and we get to this point where I'm like, okay, I think I can see up there a little bit. Let me get out of the car and like walk up there and see what the guy says. Caltrans worker says the road conditions ahead are so bad that our workers are getting stuck in the ditch. And I'm like, what? The people that are pulling us out and clearing the road are getting stuck. So they're like, we don't recommend you go that way at all. But it also looked like they had closed the road, so I was like a little bit confused. So anyway, I said, well, I don't think we're about to go that way anyway. So I walked back and I talked to my husband. I was like, what do you think we should do? And he goes, well, I think we should put the chains on the car and like, you know, go the way that they recommend. So we attempt to do that, and you guys, we tried putting the chains on and the chains don't fit. We both tried. He's better at it than I am. He's helped me put on chains before. And by the way, if you've ever put on chains, you know that that's like not like a very simple thing to do. Like, it's not as easy as like you might think it is, but you have to like drive on it properly and make sure like you can connect it in the back and the front. But sometimes the wheel wells are hard to put your hands behind there. It's not an easy thing. So if you're somebody who's never put chains on and you're going to the mountains where they might be required, do yourself a favor, get them ahead of time, and then practice putting them on so you know how to do it before you get out there. Because you don't know if there's going to be somebody to help you put them on. I mean, there might be, somebody might be nice, one of the workers might be nice, but you never want to really like put yourself in a position where you can't really do it yourself, because you want to be able to like know how to put them on and take them off. Anyway, we both tried, we both failed putting them on, and we're like, oh my gosh, so now we can't even take the road that they said to go on, that we still need chains for. Our other option is to go south and take like probably like an 11-hour drive home when it's supposed to be only a 5-hour drive. And then we're like, or we could stay another day and hope the snow melts. And for some reason, all of those options, they just felt so overwhelming, and I felt like we had been checkmated. And thinking back to that moment, I was like trying super hard just to like remain calm, remain cool, and just not flip out at the fact that we were in this situation. Like, sometimes I forget that God tries to teach us that He's there for us in these hard situations, and He'll let a situation that overwhelms us to kind of come up in our path, and he will allow us to, struggle a little bit. And then my lesson for that is I need to use moments like that where it feels like the impossible is happening. Like there's really, like, none of these options are good. We have to spend more money, spend more time, these things that you don't want to do because you want to be using your resources well. And you have chains that don't fit and you just paid. Those chains were non-refundable. So it's like, it's almost like we have to go and get more chains or try to find a way back that doesn't require chains. All of this sounds really expensive and time intensive. I felt overwhelmed. I felt like my circuits were fried from just like already problem solving that day and the day before. And I was like, this is just so hard. And I was like telling my husband, I go, let's just pray that we do the right thing and figure out the option that is the best for us, because we have to like make it out of here and go home. Like we have jobs, we got to show up to work, and we gotta get back. And yeah, it was that moment where I just asked my husband, what do you think we should do, and let's do that. So he had us stay another night, which I was grateful for, because we went back the direction that we came. We found a place in town that was not in the mountains, and he goes, okay, I think what we should do is we should wait and see, because tomorrow it looks like it's going to be warm. Let's wait it out and see if the road gets, the snow melts. So that's what we did. We waited. We met up with one of his friends that lives in the area and just kind of killed a little bit of time. Monday morning into the afternoon, when it was going to be hot on the pavement and melt the ice and the snow, and we took it back, and you guys, it was so smooth. I turned to him and I said, good job, babe, for making that decision. I feel like you did a really good job. So I looked back on it and I was thinking about, I knew it as well. Like I had this faith that God was going to do something for us, but it doesn't mean that going through the situation is going to feel easy or feel like a walk in the park. It felt like a hard thing. Like it felt like I really don't want to be in this situation anymore. I feel like I've been through so many challenging situations. God, like, can you please just let things be a little bit less intense for a while, like in terms of like these unpredictable situations and things that, just life stuff. Sometimes life stuff happens more, like unpredictable things happen more often. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this opportunity to not freak out, not be full of doubt, and not be like angry at God for like letting it happen. I'm gonna choose to be full of faith and pray for the right decision. So that's what happened, and he came through. And that is why I felt like it was really important to share that with you. Plus, that was probably one of the most interesting things that had happened to me in a while, is just getting stuck in the mountains. It's not fun. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But it was also kind of fun when I look back at, like, when I peel back the discomfort that was there from like not knowing how it was all gonna shake out. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.